When it comes to taking your little ones to Disneyland for the very first time, there are a lot of things you should know before even taking your first steps into the park. So in this video, we're going to talk to you about everything that you need to know for your upcoming trip to the Disneyland Resort here in California. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. A lot of you have been messaging and asking for this video, so Henry and I finally collected all the information that we thought would best suit what to do with the toddler. So we're going to do a deep dive on information or just helpful things that have helped us with our trips with Raylani. So let's get started. So picture this, you're coming from out of town or even out of state. You got the excitement of pulling into Mickey and Friends or Toy Story lot. You're getting your kids loaded, the stroller ready. You come down to security and you get stopped. Most likely it's probably because you don't have the correct stroller that you're needing. Henry and I did put together a video on strollers that are accepted at Disneyland, or if you do have a stroller or a child that needs a specific stroller, the requirements that it takes to bring that into the parks. So if you haven't already, make sure you watch that video, as it's one of the most helpful tips and one of the most problem sourced things that we see happening before even getting into the parks. So we just want to make sure that everybody can get to the parks and have their fun. Once you get through security, you get on the trams and you're finally in the Esplanade and you get to choose your park. So recently Raylani did turn 3, so we did have to buy her magic key, which is a really special moment for her. She was so excited because she finally gets to check in. On their first initial entrance, they will take their photo, so she was so happy to smile for the cast member and check her way into the park. So that was really exciting for us. When you first enter the park, if this is your first time ever taking your toddler, you're going to notice that there is a flower bed right at the entrance, and it will have these beautiful flowers that put together Mickey Mouse's face. It's one of the most iconic photos other than the castle to take. So there typically is a longer line first thing in the morning as everybody's rushing into the park. So make sure you stop and take time to get a picture with the flower bed. It definitely documents, your first trip or your trips as your child is getting older. So it's really exciting, something that we should do more of because it's so iconic and just so fun to have and look back on. Once you're done taking your picture, entering the park, then you can go over to the maps. This is one of the things that we like to do to include Raylani. It's something that's fun for them to hold or be a part of on your trip. She loves to look at the different lands and point out, where she wants to be going, or this is where Mickey lives. She just enjoys the map. It's like a fun free souvenir. So again, it just makes them feel included, and it's just something fun. I mean, we think it's fun. If it's your toddler's first time going to the parks, you want to make sure that you can pick up their first time button pin, or to celebrate their birthday, you can get the happy birthday. You can find these at any store pretty much on Main Street. You just ask a cast member and they'll write the child's name. Typically they'll write how old the child is on the birthday cake. So it's just a fun way to document that it's their first time or birthday to be celebrated. First thing in the morning on Main Street, when you enter the park, sometimes the characters will be up on the train station area. They'll be greeting guests, waving hello to them. They typically come out around 9 a.m. And then after they say hello for about 40 minutes or so, then they actually pick their spots on Main Street where you can start to form a line and interact with them, which is obviously one of the most special moments for a toddler, is getting to meet Mickey Mouse, getting to meet Minnie, or just getting to meet any of the other characters such as Goofy, Pluto, Donald, and Daisy. It's so much fun. Raylani absolutely loves getting that one-on-one time with the characters. So make sure you take time for your little ones to enjoy that special connection. It definitely will melt your heart as a parent and just create this iconic memory for you that you'll never forget. As far as transportation goes, you do have a couple of options. You have the Disneyland Railroad that goes around the entire park. It's one of our favorites. It's very relaxing. We'll do that first thing in the morning or midday just to kind of take a break from everything. With all the construction currently happening, it's not as fun as it used to be because you could get off at different stops. Right now, temporarily, you cannot get off on New Orleans area. It's currently closed there. You can get off in Toontown, and you can get off in Tomorrowland or Main Street. So there's just a lot of construction going on. So it has changed from what it used to be, but still an amazing option. You also have the Main Street cars. So you can ride the Main Street car all the way to the castle, or the omnibus, I believe it's called. And it's just so fun as you can get to say hi to everybody walking down Main Street. It makes the child just feel like so special and important, getting to wave and be crazy. You know, it's really fun. Definitely some memories that I remember doing with Raylani. So it has just been a truly magical experience to do that with her. There is also the horse carriage cart that takes you all the way to the castle as well, which is really fun, and it's iconic because that's not something that a child gets to do on a daily schedule. So if you have the options, if the cars are there ready to be loaded, make sure you take them up on taking a ride because it's definitely really fun. When you enter through the parks, once you get through the main gates, you see the flower bed. If you go off to the left-hand side tunnel, and you continue walking, on the left hand side you will see the firehouse station, and that's definitely a fun area for kids or toddlers to enjoy, as it does have like a fire carriage that kids can kind of climb on, take their photos. It has a fire pole. It's just very interactive and fun for children to get to kind of play and touch and see things there. Definitely lots of photo opportunities there as well, so make sure if you haven't already, take your little ones to the firehouse. So some quiet spots that I would like to touch base on Main Street would be Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which is currently closed right now. They are doing some refurbishment. At the moment, I don't know when they're going to be opening, but when it is open, it's definitely a fun spot for toddlers to be in. They do have some like showcasing. I know the last couple things that we saw were the Haunted Mansion showcasing. So they have like little figurine statues. When Disney 100 was happening, they had like a statue of Dumbo, and Raylani would love going in there and just like saying hi to Dumbo and talk with him. There's some great artwork to just look at. So it is a more kind of open space. You do have to kind of keep an eye on your little ones because they definitely could bump into some stuff, but it's definitely fun for the child to just kind of experience all the artwork and kind of take a look around. There is a little television that showcases different videos or whatever's kind of going on for the season. So again, they were playing like the Once Upon a Magic short, I think is what it's called. So Raylani and I would sit there and just watch over the short on loop, and we could be there for a good hour just watching the characters. As you make your way further back is where you get into the area or the theater room of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. It is an area that has AC, the lights are dim, so it's a nice quiet spot. People are pretty respectable about not being too loud in that area. As far as the show itself for Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, we have been in there and taken Raylani at least once or twice. She's done fine with it, but it is a lot of talking, so it doesn't really grasp her attention. If she is in that sweet spot of like being tired, occasionally she'll fall asleep, but personally for Raylani and myself, it's not an area I would take her to possibly again, just because I know she won't really watch the show. So we tend to just stick on the outside area and just kind of walk around. Another quiet spot would be the Main Street Cinema. So the Main Street Cinema could be found on Main Street on your right hand side. You walk in, it is like a little theater space. It's dim in there. There are about like 6 screens playing different old time Mickey Mouse shorts. So Raylani and I typically go in there. There are some benches and we'll sit down and watch a couple of the shorts. There's also a platform in the middle that kids can, you know, walk on. Some adults sit on. It just kind of depends on what's going on at the moment, but it tends to get a little packed in there. It's not as quiet because the shorts are playing tunes, so it isn't a good spot to have your child try to like wind down or sleep. Sometimes it can get them a little more riled up, but again, with the dim lights, with the showcase, it might get them a little distracted if they're needing that break. Okay, another super big item on Main Street that happens are the parades. And sorry guys if you keep seeing me look down, I do have a list of bullet points because I wanted to make sure I remembered everything. So the parades on Main Street, there are 2 show times. One would be at 3 p.m. and one would be at 5:30 p.m. Currently we have Magic Happens. As the seasons change is when the parade changes over. So around Christmas time they'll have a new parade, which is like the Christmas Fantasy Parade. It's definitely a fun thing to do with your child, especially if it's your first trip. As you, the parent, you remember if you have been to Disney, what emotions you felt seeing your favorite characters on the float. Then to see your child experience their favorite character coming down is just so iconic. It truly like makes you want to cry tears of joy, like just seeing their little faces light up. So if you have not done a parade with your child, make sure you do it because it's so special. It's just, I can't talk enough about how like happy it will make you. And if your day's just chaotic, just seeing their little face light up will make up for the whole trip. A fun little souvenir that you could do could be a silhouette from the Silhouette House. So we recently just did this with Raylani. There's no age requirement on how old they have to be. We just thought that we'd wait till she was a little bit older to do this experience, but you can go to the Silhouette House on Main Street. Currently they do have a second location that could be done at the Disneyland, which is right at the entrance of Main Street on the right hand side. But what you'll do is you'll go and wait in line with a cast member, and they will have your child sit down on a chair. There is a little Mickey Mouse that they'll have them like stare at so that they're, you know, parallel looking, so that they could do the cutout of their silhouette. If your child does get a little squirmish or they're an infant or much younger than 3 years old, you can take a side profile picture, a clear side profile picture, and provide it to the cast member, or sometimes they'll just take the picture themselves so that they can go ahead and do the cutout. It's just a really great memory to keep. Every time I see it, I always think of like the Peter Pan movie, kind of like the shadow, and it's just like a great memory. We have ours now displayed here, so it just makes it so special to bring that magic home and just remember that time when your child was little. And when they are doing the silhouette, it does come with 2 paper cutouts. So you could buy the frame, which is, I believe, $25, and it's like $11.99 for the cutout itself. So you technically get 2 for the price of 1. One of Raylani's favorite things to do at the Disneyland Resort is stop into Candy Palace. So the candy store. What kid does not like the candy store? It's definitely beautiful in there. There's all these treats that you could imagine. You guys have always heard us say that we have to go get Raylani her coins. She loves the chocolate coins. Disney has definitely gotten their coins from us on those chocolates. So if you guys do want to spoil your little ones with like a little treat here or there, they do have like, you know, other snacks like goldfish crackers. They have like nut treats. They do have a wide variety of different things. So you guys can always pop in at any point to the Candy Palace and get your little one a nice little snack. They also do have a fun little interactive thing to do there, or actually they have 2. One of them being a little organ that plays like music, so it just plays different tunes. It only costs $0.25 to do so. And then to the right of that little music box, there is like a little dancing Pinocchio puppet. I believe that also costs $0.25 to do. So something fun to take your little ones if you're already going to the candy store to do. Sometimes it's hard for us to leave the candy store, so it's not an option that we do quite frequently, but when I remember, I do take Raylani to do it. As you're getting closer to the end of Main Street, to the right hand side, you can find the Nursery station. So I know I talked about the Nursery a lot in our taking a newborn or a younger child to the parks. That's all in that video as well. It's a great area for diaper changes. If your little one is still nursing, they do have a private area for moms to go in and nurse their child. They have the diaper changing station in the back. They have little tables if you need a quieter spot to feed your little one, you know, their meal or such. I believe they even have high chairs in there. So it's definitely a good area to take a little break for them. Currently, we're in the process of potty training Raylani, and as you guys know, we go to the park very frequently, so getting her on a potty training routine has been a little bit difficult. They do have little potties for them to use, so she is excited that she gets to try to use the little potty. So it's definitely really nice that they have that option. I do wish that Disneyland had little potties throughout the whole resort, because Raylani is very intimidated with having to go potty on the big toilets. So to have to go all the way to Main Street if I'm like in Batuu or New Orleans Square, is a little stressful as a new parent potty training, but we're still making it work. So just to kind of keep that in mind, that they do have that option if your little one is kind of in that transitional period. When you go to the nursery, if it's your first time visit or your millionth time, just another option to keep in mind is they do have these like stickers. If your child ever does get lost in the park, they will take them to the nursery. I did go to the nursery not too long ago, and I did kind of see a lost child experience happening. So that little girl seemed to be older to where she could kind of say her parents' name, which is something that I have been trying to teach Raylani for the longest time. I want her to know what Henry and my name is so that she could tell a cast member if she happens to get lost, God forbid. Peace of mind to have is you can get this sticker at the nursery. It says I'm here with, and you can add your name and your phone number if you feel comfortable to do so. I have seen somebody point out, I don't know where I saw this, but if you are doing the happy birthday or my first time visit button, I have seen where people get the sticker and slap it on here so that it sticks to this and it doesn't fall off of the child. Maybe even putting your phone number on the back of this. I don't know that the cast member would look towards the back, but when they do find the child and you're going to, pick your child up after finding them, they do ask you for your driver's license. They do ask you what's the child's name. They do ask these detailed questions. And as a parent, I do feel very grateful that they take that level of security. So they're not just handing off your child to anybody. So to the cast members that do that job, thank you guys. You guys are godsend. And I know that it would give parents a peace of mind to just hear that you guys take that level of security to reconnect the child to the parent. First aid, if there is any type of emergency, I know I've seen several cast members from time to time where they are, wheeling down their wheelchair with their first aid kit. It does seem like, they're very responsive at trying to get help. I don't know what scenario would cause the first aid to go to any part of the land. But if you're needing like a Band-Aid or something, like a cold compress bag of that sort, I'm sure you could find that at the first aid station, which is also to the end of Main Street on the right hand side. It's not in the nursery. It's actually one step further back. There is a separate building for that. So if your child is in need of some Band-Aid or cold compress or maybe even some medication, I'm sure you could find that at the first aid station, which you could also find on your Disneyland app on your mobile device. As Raylani is getting older, we are definitely learning how to transition from baby to toddler. She no longer has been doing bottles. As I said, we're working on potty training, so our diaper bag has changed so much from her being an infant to now. We actually did change to a smaller bag. We're trying to condense so we're not having to take all this unnecessary stuff. So in my diaper bag currently, I just carry backup clothes. I carry her pull-up training pants that we're using and sunblock. I do have a little clear medication bag that I keep in there as well. So if you do have a younger child that is needing more things, I do have a diaper bag video that shows more in detail, like diaper rash cream, we have formula, this and that. There's definitely a video for that information. But yes, as I said, we're currently trying to condense down our bag so we're not carrying all this extra stuff. So I probably will have a short here in the future showing what's currently in our diaper bag, because it's not worth like a full-blown video since it's much smaller. If your little ones still are using diapers or you need wipes, there is a vending machine inside the nursery. From time to time they run out of stuff, so if you can't find your refills or emergency items there at the nursery, there is a shop on Main Street. Currently at the time it's Castle Bros. It's right before the Silhouette House. So if you go into that store, it looks like a men's store. It has kind of like more of like the collared shirts and such. You just go to the cash register, ask the cast member for wipes or diapers, and they should give it to you there. And I want to say Magic Key applies. I don't quite remember because it's been a while since I bought stuff, but just keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to ask for Magic Key if you have it. One of the last things you can do on Main Street is to just sit down and people watch. I don't know what toddler really likes to do that, but from time to time, Raylani is in the mood to just sit down and relax, eat a couple of snacks, wave hi to the cars coming down, wave hi to people who look like it's their first time. She just loves to like interact with everybody. So sit down and people watch is always a great thing to do to just kind of deload from everything that's going on at the park. Okay, moving on to the rest of the park. That was just Main Street. We got a big video ahead of us. So moving on into Adventureland, we are lefties, so we always tend to go to the Tiki Room first thing as soon as we start making our way. It's such a great show for toddlers as it's a quieter space. It's dim. I did say quieter, but the birds do kind of sing, and it can get a little rowdy in there, but it just gets their attention with all the animatronics and projection lights, you know, moving around. It's definitely kid friendly. So we spend most of our day at the Tiki Room with Raylani, especially when she was a lot younger. You can mobile order a Dole Whip there, and Henry was just adamant that I point out the Dole Whip. I think it's because it's one of his favorite desserts or treats to get. It is a kid-friendly option to have if your child can eat pineapple. I believe that it's also a dairy-free dessert, so good to keep in mind. But you can mobile order your Dole Whip at the little tiki bar there, and you can take it inside of the showroom. They do allow snacking to happen. They just ask that you take your trash out. So great option to just kind of take a minute from all the excitement happening, all the rowdiness happening outside of the park. Just take your little ones. They can stand there. Raylani has danced so many times at the tiki party that like everybody kind of just like looks around. If you ever see Raylani or ourselves in the Tiki Room, just know that she might have a dance off with the little birds in there. So it's really fun. There is a secret bathroom that I don't feel most people know about. So if you're standing in front of the tiki doors, off to the left hand side, there are two restrooms. The first one on the left hand side is just your standard bathroom, like family bathroom. To the right hand side, there is the family bathroom that actually has the changing station. So I do like to go in there as it's less busy than going to any of the other bathrooms throughout the park. That restroom does have, you know, the family option, meaning that, you know, you or your spouse can go in there with your little one, change them, take your stroller if needed. You yourself, the parent, can also do your bathroom break. It's just a good option to keep in mind, as most people tend to forget about the restroom. Occasionally, out of 5 times, maybe it's busy 2 times. So just keep that in mind, again, as it's one of the less busier and typically more cleaner options for your toddler. So in Adventureland, a ride that is safe or kid friendly would be the Jungle Cruise. Raylani really likes to go to the Jungle Cruise because you have all the animals kind of like monkeying around. You have the hippos splashing water, the elephants and such. So it's a good ride. They do tell a lot of dad jokes. So the kids, it just goes over the head. They have no clue. As far as the parents, you know, Henry and I give them a laugh every now and then. It's actually Henry's least favorite ride at the park. So I tend to be the one to go on Jungle Cruise with Raylani. Is there like an earthquake?
Yeah, there was an earthquake.
Because I heard everything go. I think there was just an earthquake, so I'm just kind of like looking around, but that was a little weird. But anyways, back to our regular scheduled programming. So another option is the tree house. Personally, I don't like it because you're walking up all these steps, and I am out of breath by like the first flight of stairs, and it goes really high up. So Raylani loves the tree house as there's so many interactive things to do in the tree house. There's music playing. They have that area where there's like these little animals that are entrapped, and like the monkeys. She always loves to see the monkey as he's like messing with the sign that says feed me. So the tree house is a great option. It kind of gets the child a little tired, but with that tiredness comes the fussiness. So if I can avoid the treehouse, sometimes I do, but she absolutely loves it. So if you haven't already, make sure you go check out the treehouse as they just reopened it. And another option to do in Adventureland is where Tropical Hideaway is, or before entering Adventureland, any area where there's water. Sometimes you can see the ducks. So Raylani loves to see the Disneyland ducks. Like there's nothing more that she loves than seeing the ducks, seeing them swim. Sometimes they're like dunking their heads and their feet are just paddling up above. So take time to show your little ones the Disneyland ducks, as it's a free little activity that keeps them distracted. Okay, moving over to Frontierland, which is to the right of Adventureland. One thing that you could do with your child is after passing Rancho del Zocalo area, there is character meet and greets. From time to time, you can either meet Mirabel from Encanto or you can meet Miguel from Coco. Both characters we have met in that little cove area. Raylani absolutely loves character interaction, so anytime that she sees a line formation, she doesn't even have to see the character. She just sees that there's a line formation, she wants to go meet that character. So if we have the time, we definitely pull over so she can get that one-on-one interaction. The characters are amazing. They definitely take their time to get to the child's level and talk to them, make them feel included, try to make a connection with the child. If it's your child's first visit, they are definitely going to remember all the small details, such as Mirabel talked to me about my dress or my hair. So if you guys can, make sure to document those moments because they're so special, and you can always play them back to your child and they just always remember the little things. As you continue walking through Frontierland, you will see is it Rivers of America? I'm so terrible at this. I should know this, but we always like to ride the Mark Twain boat. You'll usually see it docked right there. If it's not Mark Twain, then it'll be the Columbia boat. Personally, I like the Mark Twain boat better. Sometimes you can meet Tiana as you're on the boat, as it's going around, the river there. It's really peaceful. Again, you get to wave hi to everybody as you're going through the boat. There is interactive things to look at, like horses or the village that's going on. Raylani likes to say hi to the wolf. The wolf is her favorite thing to say hi to. And you also get to see Tom Sawyer's Island or Pirate's Lair. I'm not sure which one of the two it's called right now. So you can see either land and you can say hi to everybody on both sides. So make sure you take time to go on the Mark Twain if you haven't. It's just a fantastic ride to take toddlers on. Lots of sightseeing, and they can kind of walk, or technically they shouldn't be running, but it's a good place for them to just kind of adventure out. So we recently took Raylani to, I think it's called Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer's Island. So we recently did that. It was definitely an adventure. She had a blast kind of just climbing around. She's a little bit more kind of like girly, so she was like worried like if there was spiders or bugs, but it's definitely a toddler like place to be. It's very adventurous for them. There's different like little walkways. I think we went into this there was like a bridge option to do. We went into this like weird like skeleton like cove thing. So very interactive for toddlers, for them to use their imagination. Honestly, when we were there, I did not feel like we were in Disneyland. It totally takes you out of like all that craziness happening over there. So really good area to kind of just deload, desensitize from what's happening. And as I said, you get to see the boats kind of circling around the canoes, so you get to say hi to everybody as you're just kind of enjoying your time there. So another good option to keep in mind, you do have to take the little river rafts over, so just keep an eye for when they're loading and you can hop on over to the island. So in Frontierland, by the Mark Twain loading station and across from Big Thunder, there's a little area where you can buy like chimichangas, most people know of. It's called Ship to Shore. Right to the right hand side, there is a little secret area where you can sit down. There are some tables there that we always forget about, honestly, and we need to take advantage of those tables more. It's a quiet seating area. As I said, most people tend to forget about it. So it's fun because the kids can see the island, they can see the boats, they can just kind of wave and just play right there as you guys are eating or snacking or enjoying your meal. So keep that in mind. It's right next to the Ship to Shore little marketplace. Moving over into New Orleans Square area, a popular ride for little ones, as there isn't a height requirement, is the Haunted Mansion. So I actually took Raylani when she was like a month old or so. I had her in my carrier. It wasn't a problem. Just make sure you ask the cast member, if you do have any child younger than a toddler, what their seating would be to abide by their rules. But Raylani seems to love the Haunted Mansion. She especially loves when it turns over into the Jack the Nightmare Before Christmas theme. She loves getting to see Jack and say hi to them. She likes to see Oogie Boogie at the end of the ride. Personally, me as an adult, I'm actually a little fearful of it, but she loves it. So whenever it is available, she loves to get on that ride. They currently do have a new queue system, which we just uploaded a short on how to get your queue. So keep that in mind, as there's going to be some new changes this upcoming year on how to get on the Haunted Mansion. Another option that I believe does not have a height requirement but is a toddler favorite is the Pirates of the Caribbean. I am not a fan of that ride. I am actually scared because there is a little drop that happens, and I'm saying little because again, I have seen people with their babies in their carriers. I know that I have been on it when I was much younger. Raylani has not been on this ride. Henry tends to get on it from time to time, but it's not something that we go out of our way. Just wanted to point out again that I believe there is no height requirement for that. So it is a ride that a child could go on if you guys are doing a family trip. Some options to keep in mind is Harbor Galley does have a snack pack option, or I'm sure that they have like a kids meal. If not, Hungry Bear, which is a little further back, does also have that option as well for children to eat. They do have a snack pack that comes with like a Go-Gurt, a little mandarin orange. It comes with goldfish and a couple of other things. So it's a good little item if you don't pack your own treats, or if your little one does get a little hungry. Just keep it in mind that the snack pack is a good option. I do feel like you get kind of like a good value. It is $6.49. I believe that is with a Magic Key discount. So if you do have a child that has allergies or just dietary restrictions, if you do scroll down to the bottom of your app, there will be an area where it will ask, like, does your child have an egg allergy, a peanut allergy? If you don't see their allergy, I believe there's like an other. That way it labels it for the cast member to know, like, not to give your child a certain item. So I do love that they keep that into consideration. If you forget to bring some snacks, they have some options for you guys as well. Another area of the park that's fantastic but sadly is closed right now is Critter Country. I absolutely love Critter Country. It's a great spot. It's very woodsy, very quiety. It's very quiet. Typically you can meet Pooh and his friends back there. They do have the Adventures of Pooh ride, but as I said, currently all that area is closed down at the moment. So I really do hope that after all the construction with Tiana is finished, that they open that area, because it's one of Raylani's favorite rides, and it really makes me sad right now that I can't take her on the ride. So just keep in mind to always look on the app before your trip to see what's temporarily closed. That way you can kind of plan accordingly. Moving a little further back would be the walkway to Batuu. However, right now it is closed. As I said, they're doing construction from Haunted Mansion, Tiana, and Critter Country, so you can't access Batuu that way. They would actually have you walk through Frontierland. But in keeping to theme, in the Batuu area, there isn't really much for toddlers to do. They can't ride the rides there, so Batuu is definitely an area that's more for the adults. But you could meet characters such as Mando. I know sometimes the kids are either fearful or they absolutely love getting to see the troopers. Raylani, it depends. If you catch her on a good day, she'll definitely like to say hi to Kylo and the stormtroopers. Sometimes she's a little more fearful and kind of keeps to herself, but you do get to see some more limited characters in Batuu. Some snacking options are you can get your child, the fun bag of popcorn at Katsaka's. They do have blue and green milk, which Raylani loves. I personally like to take Raylani or even myself from time to time to Docking Bay 7 to get their chicken mac and cheese kids meal. It's fantastic. You get a piece of chicken, you get a little boat of mac and cheese, and it does come with like some sauteed vegetables and a drink, I believe. So it's a pretty decent meal for the child. I think it's a great meal. I think it tastes great. So if you haven't yet, make sure you take them over there. A fun interactive that you could do with your toddler is if you walk through the marketplace in Batuu, I believe everybody should carry them, but the little store where you can see Lofty, the little cat in its like kennel thing, that's where we picked our interactive book. So it's like a scavenger hunt. It has different like pictures of like characters or their footprints, because throughout Batuu there's like different footprints, so you kind of have to match the character to the footprint, if that makes sense. So we haven't actually fully done in detail the booklet with Raylani, but it is something that kind of distracts her and keeps her mind off of things when we have done vlogs in the past. So make sure that if you haven't already, to pick up your little booklet. It's definitely something fun that you can bring home and kind of remember on your last trip. So it's really, really cute. Moving on into Fantasyland. So Fantasyland is like the holy grail for toddlers because that land is pretty much dedicated to the toddler. I believe any ride in Fantasyland a child can get on. There are no height requirements. So that's typically why it's the busiest and most packed area. The holy grail of rides will be It's a Small World, which is funny because it's like out in the back. It's not even like directly behind Fantasyland. It's one of our favorites as a family. I believe it was like the first or second ride that we ever took Raylani on. You get to sing the amazing tune. You get to see all the animatronics, depending on the season as well. You can either get the holiday version or you just get the regular one. Our personal favorite's the holiday because they loop singing Jingle Bells with It's a Small World. So it's a fantastic ride for toddlers to get on. Before walking in through the castle, off to the left-hand side, you can find the Royal Theater, which is typically where they do a play of either Tangled or they do Beauty and the Beast. I believe there's different show times, so just keep that in mind. It's really cute because your toddler or older child can go sit down in front of the theater. They do have some like carpet seating, so they can get like a front row viewing of the show. It's really cute because there's like music, they're playing piano, it's interactive. They have you like clap, they have you do a huzzah, so it's really, really fun. I actually quite enjoy when we do get the chance to do the Royal Theater, so if you haven't checked it out, make sure to do so. To the right of the Royal Theater is actually the Princess Royal Hall. That tends to have a really long line. If your child, your toddler really wants to meet the princesses, I don't believe it opens right at rope drop. I think it's closed off. I'm not sure what the opening time is, but I would make sure that if that's what you want to do, kind of stand in that area so you can guarantee that you will be the first one to get to meet the princesses. We have done that experience at least 2 or 3 times. The first time that we tried to experience it, Raylani was about 1.5 years or so, maybe 2 years old, and she could not bear waiting in that line. She just like absolutely didn't tolerate it at all, so we ended up leaving. The older she got, the much better she has gotten in waiting for lines. So she was really happy when she did get her one-on-one interactions with the princesses. They are so sweet. Take your signature book because you can get them to sign the book or any notebook that you have. They're really good about taking some really cute photos in there. I do gotta say, their lighting is very dim, so your photos are hit or miss on like how well they look, but it's something that she asks to do every time. She has never forgotten about meeting the princesses, so make sure you take them to meet the princesses. I think you get to meet 3 inside that chamber. Next on, moving to the main iconic thing in Disneyland being the Disneyland Castle. So you can take your toddlers on the little drawbridge, I think it's called. They can walk through the castle, which is really fun. Make sure you snap your pictures and document your time there. But you can also walk through the inside of the actual castle. So it is Sleeping Beauty's castle. They do have the story of like Maleficent, the spinning wheel. So just keep that in mind. It is kind of a little dark in there, and maybe like Raylani kind of enjoys it, but you do get a little kind of freaked out at the storyline. But it's fun. Again, you get your child tired out from walking up and down those stairs. If your child is not able to walk through the stairs, they do have a showroom off to the right hand side of the castle, where they do display everything that you're seeing as you're walking through, but they do have some chairs in there so they can sit down, or if your child is in a wheelchair, they do have some little accessible areas for them to sit and watch. So something that we just got to experience was the Bibbidi Bobbidi boutique experience. So your child does have to be 3. 3 is the minimum age. You do have to show their magic key, or you do have to show their ticket purchase for them to go ahead and do the experience. But all I gotta say is it is wonderful. If you guys have the opportunity to do the boutique experience, definitely take your little ones. And it's not just for girls. They do have a little knight or prince package that you can do. There's different princess packages for the girls, so it truly makes their trip like so special, so iconic. Raylani definitely felt like the most beautiful princess ever that day, as she should. But it was definitely something that I'll never forget. Maybe we might even make it like an annual thing for her birthday to do, because it was just that like special and magical for us, for her to get her gown, her hair, her makeup, and nails. You have to book out the reservation. So if you guys don't get the reservation, just something that's free that you can take your toddler to do, so you don't have to do that boutique every time, is you can actually get free pixie dust. Now the pixie dust used to be at the boutique store, but they actually moved it and shifted over to another store off to the right hand side of the Royal Theater. I'll have a clip of what it's called. But if you guys ever see where they do the professional photos and like there's a princess carriage, just go to one of the godmothers there and ask for pixie dust, and they'll go ahead and do some pixie dust. And I think it applies to adults too. I'm pretty sure I saw some older women getting some pixie dust in their hair, so I have yet to do that. Maybe I'll do it on an upcoming vlog. Raylani and I can do it together. So moving on to another major kid-friendly area, which is going to be Toontown. They just rethemed Toontown about a year and a half ago, and it's amazing. I just got to say, I was a little bit bitter in the beginning that they changed it over, but I absolutely love it. They have more grass area for the children to run around and play around. They have the water fountain. I don't know if you're technically supposed to like be splashing around, but I see a lot of kids doing it. I personally don't let Raylani do it because I don't want her getting too soaked. But I do have backup clothes if that tends to be the case. They have that beautiful water fountain that plays music. They have Goofy's house that just looks like a whole interactive area where they have these slides. They have like little climbing like net things that you can do. They have like a bridge that plays like a xylophone. Donald Duck's house also has some really fun interactive things on the side with Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I believe in front of Donald Duck's house as well, there's like a little splash pad area, which we have yet to do. Definitely in the summertime, if you know that you're going to be taking your child to that area, pack some backup clothes, but let them splash around, kind of cool off when it's really, really hot. But again, we have yet to take Raylani to that area, but I'm sure that once I take her there, she is not going to want to leave. They do have a little roller coaster. I believe for the Go Coaster, Chippendale's Go Coaster, there is a height requirement. I believe Raylani is to the height to do so, but she's still not wanting or has asked to go on it. So maybe here in the future, we'll document her first time ever going on it. I believe if your child's not tall enough, sometimes the cast member might give them like a little slip that says like not quite tall enough yet, come back. And if they're higher at that time of visit, I think they get like a front of the line pass. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's what I've seen on other rides, such as like Incredicoaster or something for bigger kids. So moving on from the Go Coaster, there are some other interactive things that you can do with your little ones, such as going inside of Minnie Mouse or Mickey Mouse's house. Minnie's house is typically a shorter line, a shorter walkthrough, because as soon as you go in through the front entrance of her house, she's like in that next room to follow. So her queue tends to like be outside of her house. Lines can get a little crazy, so just be careful. Mickey's house is much bigger, much more interactive for the little ones. We haven't been there in quite some time, but when we have gone, Raylani absolutely loves it. There's like these fun house mirrors, Mickey's like kitchen. You get to see like his whole entire house, which is really fun. Once you go through that area, you go to like a garden area, which Raylani absolutely loves because there's like these carrots and like a little weasel or something that pops up. So really interactive and entertaining for the kids because obviously he's the main guy, so he's gonna have quite the line. So it makes sense that he has a bigger queue. Once you get through that final showroom where they're playing shorts, you get to meet Mickey himself, and sometimes you get to meet regular like Dapper Mickey or regular Mickey, or you get to meet Phantasmic Mickey. So it's definitely a surprise whichever one you get to meet. I think we even got like an ink and paint version. I'm not quite sure. As I said, it's been a long time, but definitely take your little ones to meet the main character because that's going to be really fun for them. Some of the other characters are just kind of walking throughout Toontown, such as Pete or Goofy or Donald. So if you find them, make sure you stop on over and take your pictures with them as well. And then moving on from Mickey and Minnie's house, they have the Runaway Railway, which is an absolute fan favorite of ours. Again, I don't think there's a height requirement for that. I've seen like really young babies on that ride. Just be careful. I get a little concerned because it does kind of jerk you around a little bit. So if you're not wearing your baby in like a carrier, make sure you're kind of holding on tight or you're one of the first to enter. Don't sit by the end railing where it's open because again, it does jerk around a little bit, but it's really, really fun for toddlers. I know Raylani, sometimes she'll act like she's scared of it. She's a little bit concerned with the Twister Tornado Room as it's kind of dark and it's like flashing lights and it sounds like lightning and thunder. But throughout the rest of the ride, she absolutely loves it. So if it was for her, she'd probably be on that ride like 2 or 3 times a day. And then lastly, the last ride that's in that area would be Roger Rabbit. We have not been on that ride with Raylani. I would like to take her. Henry doesn't really care for the ride much. It is one that you could like spin the wheel and your cart's like moving in circles. It is a darker ride from what I remember. Lots of like neon colors. There is a spot in the ride where there's the firework room and it does all these loud explosions. So when I was going to get on the ride, Raylani was just a couple months old, and I'm actually glad I didn't go because I had her in the carrier. I had just put her in and they told me I would have to like take her out because of like the seating bar or whatever the situation was. So I opted out to sit out of the ride, and Henry was like, you know what, it's actually great that you guys didn't go because that would have woken her up and probably would have startled her. But again, probably a better option for toddlers or bigger kids, as there's just so much to see and there's like it's really like almost overstimulating in a sense. So kids tend to love all the bright colors, all the wacky noises happening. I personally love the ride. There is a dining option in that area. There's Daisy's Cafe, or they have like a little picnic market side place where you could pick up some like fresh fruit. They have slushies in that area. Daisy's Cafe, I would say, is kind of like kid friendly. They have like that pizza flop over that kids tend to love. There's just really fun options like some goody donuts. So just keep that in mind. If you're in Toontown, take up Daisy's Cafe. I think that kids are definitely more like leaning towards eating pizza and like chicken nuggets. If you're just there for the one time, or if you want to pick that as your meal to kind of venture out and try out. All right, moving on over into Tomorrowland, which is one of Raylani's favorites. You do have a couple of toddler-friendly rides there. First one being Autopia. I think that's how you say it. I feel like I always mess it up. But there is a height requirement for the child to get on the ride. So Raylani is tall enough and it's so much fun. She giggles and laughs the entire way that she's driving. I usually have to step on the pedal while she's like driving the track. But it's only the child and the parent. It doesn't seat like Henry, myself, and Raylani. So just keep that in mind. It's a good fun ride. It's outdoors, so she tends to love it. It's just a little smelly because of like that weird gas that they use. But if you have the time, take your toddler on there because they'll just absolutely love it. Right next to Autopia would be the monorail. The monorail is such a fun option for us to get on. You can access the monorail through either Downtown Disney with your ticket, or you can access it through Tomorrowland. We like to get on it and just do a lap around the park to get a nice little break. Sometimes they have the windows down when the air is more fresh. During the summer times, I prefer that they have it up with the AC on because it could get a little hot and stuffy. But again, it's really fun to just take them and they get to see around the whole entire park. A ride that we recently went on was Nemo's Sea Voyage. I personally am not a fan of that ride whatsoever. Raylani seemed to really like it. I think that does not have a height requirement because you're like sitting down. There's no seatbelts or any of that stuff going on. It is kind of like a darker ride as you're going through like some tunnels. You're under the water. It is beautiful in certain parts, but just keep that in mind. If you don't like enclosed spaces, I wouldn't recommend that one. Another ride that's fantastic to do is the Astro Blasters, which is the Buzz Lightyear ride. It's really fun, interactive. The kid gets to, target little lasers at the signs, and then you get to see who has the highest score. It's really fun. Most of the time we're just like in there laughing, controlling the cart. That's her favorite part. And then you exit through the toy store, which is obviously Raylani's favorite. So if you have not, make sure you check out Astro Blasters. Lastly, I don't know if there's a height requirement for this one. I believe there might be, but it would be the Astro Orbiters. Henry and I are not a fan of this. I like Dumbo, but I do not like the Astro Orbiters. Something about it like spins faster or it scares me. But I know that there are a lot of toddlers and children that like to ride that ride. So if you can tolerate Dumbo at a faster pace, then I highly recommend the Orbiters. Okay, so that is our entire list. I hope that this is helpful to you guys. If you guys have any helpful tips that you guys want to leave in the comment section down below that I didn't mention, love to read or hear them. I'm sure other parents would be appreciative of it too. But with all that being said, if you guys did enjoy the video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Tap the notification bell to be notified when we do drop a new video. And with all that being said, may you always have a magical adventure. Bye guys!